scrappy friends, it's Kim back from Memories in Time, and I am continuing my Scrapbooking 101 series. And yesterday on my Instagram I shared the Fiskars photo trimmer. I shared the Fiskars cut rail trimmer with scoring guide. Sorry about that, it took me just a second. And of course our micro tip non-stick scissors. And these are my absolute 3 favorite go-tos when it comes to paper trimming and working either with cards or scrapbooking or even in my planners. And so I wanted to, just for beginners, share a little information about how these trimmers work. So the Fiskars photo trimmer, and let me just check and make sure, yep, just checking to make sure I'm in frame good. So I use this for 2 main purposes. One, when I need to crop photos, and most of my photos I print here at home on my Canon Selfie. I do order photos from Persnickety, and typically if I order from Persnickety, I don't have to trim, but sometimes I do. I'll trim down to like a 3x3 maybe, or 4x4. And so obviously I've pulled just a few photos that I had printed before thinking I was going to use and ended up not using. And so I'd already, this was a split photo, because when you print on your Canon Selfie, you have the option to print 4x6, or you have the option to print 2 3x4s. And so when I scrapbook one, and I never, like, even though I know I'm scrapbooking, for example, this photo, then I still put a photo in on this spot so that it's not just wasted, you know, and so hopefully I won't end up scrapbooking with those photos. So this one has already been trimmed, but I want to show you just how easy this is. Now, I'm one of those scrapbookers. I don't necessarily like cut to true size when I'm trimming on this photo trimmer. I will come in, and this is breakable, like it's perforated and I can break that off. I don't like the look that it leaves behind when it's broken, and so I'll just come in and I'll line that up, and I just trim that break off. I go right to that line and trim that break off, and that way it's a good clean edge instead of a perforated edge. Then if I want that to be a true 3x4, I'll come back in and I'll look at where my cut might be there, and I'll flip it around on this side and look at where my cut might be there. And in this situation, it's really hard for you to see, but there is a little teeny edge left right there from the photo that connected. So if I were going to scrapbook this, and this were going to be a true 3x4 size, then I would do that little, and I mean it's a minuscule trim on that side. If I wanted to trim this down to a 3x3 photo, then I would do the same thing. I would go in and I would think about, okay, I have excess here, so I want to cut that excess off at the top. And then I would come back to the 3 and look at, so what am I losing below that? Do I want that little flamingo to go? He blends into the rocks, so yeah, that little flamingo can go. And now I have 3 inches in this direction, but now I'm going to have to look at how am I going to get 3 inches on the other direction to make it a 3x3. And what I would do if I were cropping this is right there. So now I have a 3x3 this way, and I have a 3x3 this way. So now that photo has been cropped to a 3x3. So this is how I use this when it comes to photos. Let me show you how. This is not a flattering picture of my granny, and I ended up not using this. She was FaceTiming Ashley before we lost our Bella-Boo, and Bella-Boo is up in the top. Bella loved my granny, and my granny loved Bella, but I couldn't use this photo even to tell Bella's story because Bella is cut off there. I would have to readjust on this photo, but I'm just going to show you, like on a 4x6, I do the exact same thing. I find where that perforation is, and I just trim that perforated piece off, and then I would come up here and line that up, trim that perforated piece off. And then now I have, if I want a true 4x6, I need to come in, line that up, and there we go. There's a true 4x6, and it just took a sliver off that side. So those are ways that I use my little small Fiskars guillotine photo trimmer for photos. Now, sometimes I will pull out my little small photo printer if I have small scraps of cardstock left. So this came after a thin cut. This was a thin cut, and I've kept this because that's a good piece, like for a banner, you know, embossing like a gold or a silver title on there, alphabet thin cuts. There's all different kinds of things I could still use this scrap for. Okay, I could actually even trim that down and let that be a photo mat that lays over a photo. Okay, so, but what I wanted to show you with this today is if I needed a 2x2 square, or let's say my photo was going to be a 2x2, so I wanted a 2 1/4 photo frame. So there is my 2 1/4, and then come back here, and I'm not going to be able to do 2 1/4 because it's already cut. So let's say I want, let's do it this way, 2 1/4. Nope, it's still not going to work. So I'm going to have to do it as a 2x2. So let's just say I need a 2x2. So there is 2, and let's flip them around this way and do a 2. And now I have a 2x2. It's easier when you're doing smaller pieces of cardstock to get that cut than to put a smaller piece of cardstock in your big cut rail trimmer. So those are ways that I use this paper trimmer. I use it mostly, I'd say 95% of the time I use this on photos, but sometimes I do use it on smaller pieces of cardstock. It's just easier to handle this. It's plastic, it's extremely lightweight, it has a guillotine, and this strip will pop off so that you can maneuver whatever you're working with, and it's just super easy. I love this trimmer, love it. So there's a little information about that one. And let me just move him out of the way. And then the scissors, I'm not really going to spend a lot of time on the scissors except to tell you that they are super micro tip. They are extremely sharp. I've nipped myself a time or two with these by accident. Super sharp. They are non-stick. However, if you're constantly cutting through sticky things, you're cutting through stickers, or you're cutting through things that have adhesive on them, eventually there's going to be a little buildup. It's never going to get so gunky that you can't use it, but you will notice that there's a little buildup there. And you just simply take your rub and remove eraser, and you just get all the gunk off. And these scissors are phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. I mean, they're wonderful if you're doing fussy cutting. You know, they are just so wonderful, and they stay so sharp. I love, love, love these scissors. Love them. And they do come with a plastic protector so that when you are traveling to crops, or if you need to, like, you just pack a small little Ziploc baggie of card items that you wanted to work on while you're waiting at soccer practice or in a dental office or something like that, they come with that cute little cover so that you don't like pierce anything whenever you travel. So that's all I'm going to say about the scissors, because scissors are just a pretty standard, you know, you can't do scrapbooking, card making really without them. So here is, and I need to make sure that I'm adjusted so that you can see my cut roll trimmer. My cut roll trimmer really is larger than my space, my camera space, so I'll just move it a little back and forth. So one thing that I wanted to show you real quickly is the cut rail trimmer comes with a cutting blade and a scoring blade. And in this area right here, there is a 1-inch area down at the bottom of your trimmer that is where you can interchange. And so when you want to, and it has a locking, it locks up here so that this won't move. And so when I change, I lock that in. And then all you do is you just pop in and pop out right there. See how easy that was? So when my blade dulls and I need to replace the blade, I grab from the back side and pull forward. And there's my little blade. Right there is the thing that cuts. And then if I want to pop on the scoring blade, and it's round, and so it's a scoring blade. You see how it's not sharp? And then I just pop it on in the front and press down in the back, and there's my scoring blade. So let me open this up, and I have just this scrap here that I use like to hold on paper and just stamp. Like I wanted that to be a second generation stamp, so I stamped off. So let's say I want this, let's say I want a 2-inch score in this. So I'm going to line it up over here at 2 inches, and I want my score to be right here. So I'm going to lay this down. I'm going to go up and back down. And then hopefully the camera will pick, can you see? There we go. I think you can see there. So it scores, and then when you want to make your own card bases, or if you're making like peekaboo pockets in your scrapbook pages, that's how you create a score with this scoring blade on your trimmer. And you see how neat that is? Hopefully the camera's picking that up. Perfect for scoring. Okay, and then you come back into that area. I just like to lock my trimmer down just so I know that nothing's going to go flying. Pick up from under on the front side, right here. Pick up from under and just pop it out. And then the same way with your blade, you just pop your blade right back in. And that area is marked for you. I love that this is a cut rail trimmer because, I mean, it won't shift with you. I love that. We do have, for travel purposes, this locking piece here so that I can put this in a bag and I don't have to worry about this coming loose. And I do that quite often. Then there's also this arm that extends out to 12 inches. So one thing that I'm going to show you right now is cutting backwards. So there's this area right in here where measurements, you just kind of have to, well, for me, because like I'm not a measurement person, you just kind of have to guess where things are. So like, let me make sure I'm unlocked there. So, and I'm using French vanilla. Hopefully you'll be able to see that okay. So your 12 by 12, it's a 12 by 12 piece of paper. It's 12 inches this way and it's 12 inches this way. So let's say I need an 8-inch piece of paper. So one thing I can do instead of popping this arm out is I can cut backwards. So if I need an 8-inch piece of paper, I can cut 4 inches off. So I'll line up in my 4-inch over here, and hopefully you guys can see. What I'm worried about you seeing is right here. So I'll line that up. Now with this cut rail trimmer, you do not have to go up and come back down. So the way I do mine to really keep my blade in good shape is I cut up, take out, cut down. So one cut is up, one cut is down, and I don't just repeat, okay? So there's my 4-inch piece I cut off, and now this piece is 8 inches, and I can pop, and that's called cutting backwards. I pop this in, and it's 8 inches, okay? So that's one thing that I have sort of just picked up as I've been using this cut rail trimmer. I absolutely love it. It's fabulous. Lots of times, like let's say let's make this a 6x6, okay? Another trick I'm going to show you is, and this, see now I'm not coming back down here and starting at the bottom and going up. I'm coming down, okay? And now on this next cut, this is going to be a cut up. I don't pull the blade back and forth. I just let it cut So this is a 6 by 6, but let's pretend this is a 12 by 12. So lots of times when I create a scrapbook page, especially if this base page is a pretty pattern paper, and I don't want to say like waste, but I don't want all of this in here when all I really want of the pattern paper is a border. Then that's sort of a waste of that pretty pattern paper. So one thing that I like to do is, like, if this is a 12 by 12, actually let me get a 12 by 12 because I don't want to confuse you. And the same premise will work regardless if it was a 6 by 6, a 6 by 8. Anytime that you are scrapbooking and you want your pretty paper, you just want a border of your pretty paper. So one thing I like to do is, if I am cutting less than an inch or an inch, I always line my paper up to my inch mark, my 1/4 inch, my 1/2 inch, my 3/4 inch, or my inch on the inside of my paper trimmer. Okay, that way I can hold over here on the outside. So let's say I want a 1 inch border all the way around of this paper. So I lay this down, okay, and I come down, that way I can see where I'm at. And then I start at 11 inches here. I bring my blade and I press down at 11, and then I am going to cut up to my 1 inch right there, okay? Cut up to my 1 inch, and then I'm going to take it out. Same thing, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to line up at 1 inch, and then I'm already at 1 inch right there. Come back down to 11 inches. I think I went just a little far, but that's okay, because you end up putting some, you have a little bit of your cardstock or whatever over that. And let's go back from 11 to 1, and you can kind of feel whenever it hits it there. So this is a trick that I do a lot when I have pretty pattern paper that I want to use as a border, but I still want all of this pattern paper left. So I still have all of that two-sided pattern paper that I can use, and then here's my border. And so in that situation, what I do is, let's say that this then is the actual cardstock. So I lay my tape right around the edge, and I lay it down like this, and then I flip, once my cardstock or my pattern paper is on, I flip it over, and I just take some Scotch tape and just put a few places down and hold it, and that sort of sturdies it up. And that way I have that pretty cardstock or that pretty pattern paper or whatever I want that border to be. I have that border, but then I have all of that gut still left that I can use on other projects. And this paper trimmer makes creating that so easy. And the last thing that I want to say about this paper trimmer is that, and so many of us struggle, and I'm going to really zoom in a little bit here on this, and poor old Karen Pedersen has helped so many of us in the real world with this. So if you follow close to my heart, and I'm sorry about that ring light right there, guys. I'm so sorry about that ring light. If you follow close to my heart, if you watch any of the free workshops that they do, sometimes they will talk about 1/8 inches, okay? So Ben laughs at me. I struggle with this all the time. I'm going to start right here at 1, and I'm probably going to have to stand up so that I can see what I'm doing. So each one of these, as Karen says, are eyelashes, okay? So each one of these eyelashes is a 1/16. So this is 1/16. This would be 2/16 or an 1/8 right there, okay? And then that would be 3/16, and then this would be 4/16, which is a 1/4. And so that's how you use these little slashes, or as Karen says, eyelashes, to measure. And so that's something every single time I'm doing a workshop and it tells me an 1/8 or 3/8 or 5/8, I have to stop and really be intentional about counting like I just now did with you, to make sure that I'm getting the 1/8 or the 1/16. So here's your inch, and then this one here is a 1/4 inch, a 1/2 inch, 3/4. And then one other thing that I'll say about this paper trimmer, and again, I'm so sorry about that ring light, is it has a few dimensions on there for you. 2 by 3.5 would be that. A 3 by 5 would be that. That's a horizontal. A vertical 2 by 3.5 is that way. A 3 by 5 vertical that way. This is a card front, 4 1/4 by 5.5. This is a card front right there, 4 by 6 and 5 by 7. So those measurements are already on there for you. This paper trimmer is a little expensive, but if you are a VIP, you can use your VIP credits to purchase this paper trimmer. You can use your VIP credits to purchase this paper trimmer. And let me just speak for a quick minute about being a VIP. So when you become a VIP, you pay an annual, one time a year, $35 VIP fee, and that allows you to get all the perks of being a VIP. But then instantly you get 15% of every single retail item, full price retail item that you purchase. That goes into a CTMH cash account for you, and then on your next purchase you can take that 15% off. So if I bought a scrapbooking kit that was $34.95, 15% of that would go into my CTMH cash, and then when I go back to purchase this, whatever that amount is, I can take off of this. I can let that 15% build after 1 or 2 orders so that I could get this for free. Or I could let that build for 3 or 4 orders so that I could get this completely for free. And so there are perks. Yes, you got the upfront $35 fee, but if you like Close to My Heart products, if you want to start purchasing Close to My Heart products, it is definitely worth being a VIP because it will save you money in the long run. And occasionally there are specials through Close to My Heart that are just for VIPs. So if you have any questions about our cut reel paper trimmer or our guillotine photo trimmer, or if you have questions about our handy dandy fancy little scissors, let me know. If you would like to purchase, if you would like to be a VIP, there's links below, or you can also contact me and I would love to help you. I would love to have you be my VIP. If you have any questions, let me know. Like and leave a comment down below. If you have not subscribed to my channel yet, I would love to have you follow me. Thanks guys, and happy scrapping.